my phone again. Okay, awesome. So you can hear me okay?
Yes, you're great. Thank you so much for bearing with us. I'm so sorry.
No worries. It's totally happened to me before, so I get it.
We had it all up on the TV. We're getting all fancy, and now we're going back to the basics.
Hey, whatever it takes.
Thank you so much for being here and doing this for us. We appreciate it so much. Of
course. I'm so honored.
I know Shailene's coming, so I'm just going to let you dive in so we don't take too much of your time.
Oh, you're fine. Well, thank you. I am so honored to be here. Seriously, you guys, I know that you get amazing training from Christy, and so it's really my pleasure to be able to speak to you, especially at your team retreat. Congratulations on earning this. This is one of my favorite topics. I love speaking about developing leaders. It's something that I think is like one of the most critical aspects of your business. So before I get in, I just want to real quick, just in case you're not familiar with me, I'll just kind of breeze through my story real quick. So before I started this business, I was working full-time. I was actually working my full-time career, plus I was on the side teaching fitness classes and helping out my local gym in training and scheduling their instructors. So I was also their part-time group exercise director on top of my full-time job, on top of being a mom, and on top of being a wife. So I literally was working around the clock. I was probably putting in 60 to 70 hours a week. I mean, I literally never had time I wasn't working. I'm definitely one of those people that if I'm not careful, I can be a workaholic because I love to work. I love challenges. I love to be doing different things. So that was my life before this business. And when Shalene told me about this business, I was like, oh my gosh, Shalene, no way. Like, I was so skeptical. I'm like, I'm an introvert. I don't have, I'm not on social media. I don't sell. I would never be good at selling. I'm not the social butterfly that would like pick up a conversation with someone at one of Tyler's games. Like, it's just not me. This business would never be for me. And besides that, I was like, I don't have time. So anyway, long story short, she had planted that seed for me. And even though to her, I was like, I would never do that. She was like, it's Beachbody. It's, she had already partnered with Beachbody for Turbo Jam. I'd already been in their videos. So I trusted Beachbody. I love Beachbody. Turbo was like my soulmate workout. It still is. And so it wasn't that. It was just, I'm like, I'm not the right type of person for a business like that. I went into business administration for my degree in HR management. I had been working in HR management for 13 years, even though I love fitness. And I just thought I don't have time for it, and I'm not the right personality for it. But she had planted that seed. And the only reason I tell you this story is because a lot of the people that you're talking to, they're going to have the same reaction that I did. Some of the people that have the most potential once they do join will be the most skeptical and most resistant prior to joining. I'm the type that I'm very busy, so I fill my schedule. And so some of those people that you're talking to, they do the same thing. And, we were financially tight. I couldn't afford to spend my time anywhere or spend my money anywhere where it wasn't going to serve me. And so I just thought, no way for the business. But it intrigued me just enough that I did look into it further. And once I realized that this business was about helping others not only get fit, which that was like, duh, of course I'm going to do that. Even if I'm not a coach, I'm going to do that. I was already teaching fitness classes on the side. So not only do we help people get fitter and healthier and make them feel more confident in their skin and all these good things, but at the same time, this business helped me help other women have their own or build their own successful fitness and health business, which to me was a dream. That to me was a dream because I had always wanted to be in fitness full-time. There just was never anything where I could do it on a full-time basis and make the same type of living that I was making. I couldn't find anything in fitness, no matter how many times a week or how many times a day, if I were to teach fitness classes full-time, it just couldn't happen that I could replace my corporate career. And so Matt and I had looked into owning a gym. We had looked into owning a personal training studio. We had looked into so many different things, but nothing could replace what we were doing. And so we just thought we need to just work our corporate jobs and work these extra jobs and try and make ends meet. Well, this intrigued me enough that I looked into it further. And when I realized that I could help people get fit and I could help other women own a business where they could potentially quit their full-time job and not only replace that income, but make more. And at the same time, they're doing something that they love and that fuels them, and then it helps them stay more accountable on their fitness, and they're able to build their own community, their own tribe. It was just like, wow, this business has so much more to offer than I ever even knew was out there. And so a lot of the people that you're talking to, they don't have that vision. They don't see all of that. What they might just see is that, you're part of a network marketing company and that you want to recruit another body. And so that's maybe their initial thought, or their initial thought is they don't have time, or they don't have the money, or it's not a good fit for them. They've got all these barriers built up, all these preconceived notions as to why it wouldn't be for them. So it's going to take some time and some real conversations of you really listening to their needs and their fears and their hesitations, and kind of, breaking all that down in a genuine and authentic way, really hearing them out. In other words, when they say, well, I just don't have time, I'm crazy busy, you validating that, I hear you. Oh my goodness, when before I started this and I heard about that, I was like, I could never have time. You got to tell your story. So anyway, I got into it, obviously. And when I started, Matt and I both, we were both working full time, but we went all in. And right away we made our list and we did everything that we had researched online that you're supposed to do with a network marketing company. We just spun our wheels in a lot of different directions, did a lot of things incorrectly, made tons and tons of mistakes. But mentally, I was all in. And that is really something that helped me help my leaders, is that I know that when I started, I didn't know a lot about what I was doing, but I had belief and I had excitement. And believe it or not, that right there is a really, really good start to building a great team. If you have belief and excitement and you know that you need to introduce a business opportunity to as many people as you can, that right there is going to get you really far, okay? And knowing, yes, the majority of people are going to think you're crazy. You're going to say, no way, that's not for me. And you're going to keep having conversations with some of those people. Some of those people you're not going to keep having conversations with because you realize they're not the right type of person. But just that excitement and that belief is going to get you really far in and of itself. So let me talk about developing rock stars on your team. So first of all, there's a difference between a rock star in terms of someone that just, makes super high Success Club points and, has really high PV, and they just, they're really focusing on the challenge groups and the Success Club points, and they're like, wow, that is like a rock star right out of the gate. But someone like that's like a really high performer is not necessarily a leader. Not that they can't be, they can be, but there's some things that we need to do to help them transition from just a high performer to a leader. And a leader can be both. A leader can be a high performer and a leader, but there are some high performers who are not being leaders. So I think it's really important to understand that difference. So the other thing I think it's important to understand is that, when you see these coaches that have a lot of diamonds on their team, and you're thinking, wow, why can't I just find those people who want to kill it in the business like I do? Why can't I find those people that just, want to take off with this and just get it? Well, let me tell you, I have quite a few diamonds on my team, and star diamonds and 15 star diamonds. And let me tell you, they were not wanting to kill it in the business when I met them. Okay. So I think it's a preconceived notion that these people who do become 15 star diamonds, that they started off wanting to hit the ground running, and they did not. Okay. Instead of trying to find rock stars. Instead of trying to find people who want to kill it in the business, find people that want to kill it in life. In other words, find people who are positive. Find and attract, I should say. It's both of those things. You're finding and attracting people who are positive, people who have great character, people who have great integrity, people who are like-minded. But when it comes to finding and attracting the right people, it's not that the right people have a certain number of followers. They don't necessarily look a certain way. They can be any shape. They can have no followers. They can not even be on social media yet. It's about that person's mentality. That's what you're looking for. People with the mentality of they believe in themselves. They love to lift others up. They're open-minded. They believe in bettering themselves. Those are the type of people that you want to find and attract. Now, one of the key things about finding and attracting those types of people is that you have to be that type of person. You have to be that type of person. So all the stuff that you put out there, it's going to show in your captions, in your pictures. Even if you don't have a caption, just a picture of yourself, it should exude energy and positivity. And so everything that you're putting out there should be attracting those positive, like-minded people. Sorry, guys, I got to fix my notes. 1 second. They just fell down, and I want to make sure I don't forget anything. And I just lost my notes. Sorry. Hopefully it doesn't fall down again. It probably will. There we go. Okay, good. All right, we're good. So, okay, so those are the two qualifiers as far as like, finding and attracting the right people, is that you've got to look for good character people, and you have to be that person yourself. Because if you're not being that person, you're not exuding that energy. If I go to your Instagram and there aren't pictures of you smiling and being positive about things, then chances are you're not going to attract that type of person. So the other thing I think you have to realize, and this is something I learned early on in my business, I was about 6 months into my business. And like I said, I started like right away building my team. Literally day one. Literally, I had more people on my team than I had sales, for sure. Like I had 12 people on my team before I ever made 12 sales, for sure. In fact, and I had the first person on my team before I ever made my first sale. I started building my team right away because I did understand, because I was told before I enrolled that building a team of fitness business leaders was going to be what grows my business. And I love that, because I was like, I love helping people get fit, and I'll do that whether I'm a coach or not. I've done that like since I was 14 years old. I've loved fitness and health and nutrition. I have a whole story around that and why I'm so passionate about it. I recently posted on Instagram about it. It's a long story, but anyway, so that was a no-brainer for me to help people get fit and healthy, but to help other women like myself be able to be at home with their kids, that to me was like beyond powerful. And to help them have a business where they can work it when it works for them, so that they can put their priorities first. If their kids are their priority, they can put that first. If their spouse or there goes my notes again, their spouse or their animals are their priority, they can make that their priority. Like that to me was huge. So I right away started building my business, but about 6 months in, I got to a point where I was like, okay, what am I doing wrong? Because my team members are not running with this. And all of them had huge potential. But only like one was really going for it. Only one was consistently showing up to the trainings I would do, consistently opening my emails. Only one out of about 12. And so I flew to California for a conference, and there was a guru, a network marketing guru that was speaking. And I thought, okay, my only question to him is going to be, how do I motivate my team? Like that is the only thing I don't understand right now. Like I I can add people to my team. I can, be promoting. I can do all the things. But why can I not get my team to do these things? And so what I learned from him is that only about 10 to 20% of your team actually runs with this. And when I heard that percentage, for me, it just opened up this whole new world for my business. Because I thought, okay, that's what I have right now, actually. I have like a dozen people on my team, and I have like one person, maybe sometimes two, that is really digging in. So it relieved me of all the stress that I would never be able to lead people. What it made me realize, and what he made me realize, is that I needed to keep building my team. I needed to keep adding people because those people who run with it are out there. And he said, I was like, well, I just don't know how to motivate my team. And he said, stop trying to drag them. Stop trying to pull them into this and make them want this more, as much as you want it, and keep building your team. All you can do is lead them well and equip them. Lead them and equip them. That's lead and equip everyone, and then run with the willing. So I'm going to break that down for you. Further, okay, how do you lead and equip them? And I do want to mention one other little exception to his statement when he said you can't motivate them. Since then, because that of course was years ago, I have learned that you can, not always, you can motivate people with FOMO. To be honest, people don't want to miss out on a good thing. And what we have going on in this business is a really good thing. And so I have learned that not everyone, but there are quite a few people that can be motivated by FOMO. They don't want to miss out on this, special challenge group that you're running only for your team. Or they don't want to miss out on that t-shirt incentive that you're putting out there. Or they've heard that, so-and-so just hit the $1,000 per week mark. And they're like, I'm missing out on that. So you can put certain things out there for your team that can motivate them, okay? So the other thing is I wanted to just share with you a quote. And I don't know if it's an exact quote. It's not really an exact quote, but something that John Maxwell said is, if you don't focus on becoming a better leader, and this isn't exact, you won't ever grow a large organization. And that is so incredibly true. If you don't focus on becoming a better leader, you will never grow a large organization. And that resonates with me so much, because I know for myself, if I get too caught up in me trying to acquire more customers, me trying to acquire more Success Club points, me trying to fill a challenge group to be larger, me trying to host better challenge groups, me, then what I'm not doing is what I set out to do, which is to help other women build their successful fitness businesses. Because if there's anything I did right in the beginning, right from the get-go, before I knew anything about this business, I literally didn't even know what Diamond was, nothing. One of the first things I set out to do was help other women build a six-figure business. Was I making six figures? I wasn't making anything. But that was my goal. And I told the people that were joining my team, I said, this is my goal for you. And I'm working towards the same goal. We're doing this together, but this is my goal for you, and I know you can do it. So with that, here are the 12 things I think I wrote down. 12 things that I think really embody leadership and developing those rock stars, okay? So first of all, I do want to say one other thing, that leadership is about developing leaders, not people who just follow. You want to make leaders of your team. And so when I hear, in fact, recently a coach of mine was, and she's a leader of mine, she was frustrated that one of her coaches was kind of off doing their own thing. But that's a good thing. I mean, you want your coaches to become leaders of their own organization. You want them to fly. So we need to help them develop the qualities and the skills to help them become leaders. Because right now, you might be noticing, okay, I've got like 10 to 20% that are digging in and they're making some success club points here and there, or maybe they're even making high success club point numbers. But how do I help them transition from being a performer or a top performer to a leader? Okay, so let's get into those 12 things. Number one is you have to have, and they have to have. So when I go through these 12 things, these are things that you have to have to become a better leader, and that you have to teach them. So you might have two columns. Maybe when you write each of these 12 things, what's a step that you can take on that? What's a step you can take to help them be better with that? So the first one is vision. You have to have vision and the ability to paint that vision for others. And so what I mean by that is, when you're talking to a coach of yours and you know that they are stressed because of their finances, or they're stressed because of their commute, you need to paint that vision of what they can do with this business. Maybe right now they have 4 coaches, and you paint that vision of, look, you could be diamond by the end of October. And you could be 1-star by the end of January, and you could be 2-star by the end of March, and you could go to Summit as a 5-star diamond, because once you're a 2-star, you can open up your 3rd business center in April, and then you can, meanwhile, a couple other people are becoming diamond. You can get your husband to diamond, and boom, you could be 5-star by Summit next year. So here you just painted a picture for someone that just maybe has 4 coaches and they're just discount coaches. And you've just painted a picture of how quickly they could make this happen. So you have to learn how to be like a talent scout for your coaches. See in them what they've never seen for themselves. You always have to be looking beyond. All they can see is what's in front of them. You have to help them see far beyond that and into the future. And because you've been there. You've been in the business longer than they have. You've done more than they have, I'm assuming. And so you can see farther than they have. You have to plant those little seeds and put that in their head, okay? And you have to follow through on that and letting them know it's not going to be easy, but this is possible. The second thing is you have to be the example. So if you are wanting to develop a diamond, you have to show how it's done so that you can show your team members how they can develop their coaches. If you want your new coaches to be adding coaches every month, you have to be adding coaches every month. If you want your coaches to be getting on the National Wake Up Call, you have to be getting on the National Wake Up Call. If you want your coaches to be hitting at least Success Club 5, you have to be hitting at least Success Club 5. You're saying, duh, we know that. But how often do we fall short? I'm guilty. Sometimes I'll be teaching something to my team, and I'll go, and literally as I'm making the notes for my training, I'll go, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm actually not doing that. So you really have to do a gut check. Are you being the example? Because you guys, as the leaders, you set the pace. And one thing that I tell my team, and I hope you do too, you probably have team members who are wanting to go diamond and beyond. And I let them know, look, if you are saying to yourself, I want to be diamond by, 6 months from now, well, what does that mean? That means, okay, so hopefully you can follow this, but when your coach takes 6 months to go diamond, which is not bad, by the way, not bad at all, whatever it takes, but here's the reality of it. If your coach is saying, I want to set a goal of taking 6 more months, aside from ever long they've been in the business, 6 more months to become diamond, what does that tell her team members as far as how long it takes to achieve diamond? 6 months or more. In fact, they're probably thinking, well, my coach did it in 6 months and I think the world of her and she's great. She knows more than me. She's been doing this business longer than me. So if it took her 6 months, once she made that decision, it's going to take me a year. So guess what? Your coach isn't going to be one-star diamond until another year and a half. And it doesn't have to happen that way. If your coaches set the example that once they make up their mind, they can be diamond in 2 months, or they can be diamond in 1 month, whatever it may be, they are setting the example for their own team. They're paving the path for their own team. One of my coaches who joined in 2016, she is, in her first business center, she's like 6-star. In her second business center, I think she's diamond or 1-star. So she's killing it, right? And so last year, so in 2017, so just her second year in the business, not even second full year, but second year in the business, she made 5-star in elite. And one thing she said to me was, well, I'm trying to set the pace for my team. And I thought, oh my gosh, of course you are. And I apologize if I never told you that, but that is what you should do. You set the pace for your team. And guess what she is? Her coaches are going for 2-star and 5-star because they saw that she did it. And that's what you have to do. So you really have to, it's so much harder, you guys, if you try and build your business slow. So much harder. If you want your business to be harder, it's a guarantee it's more difficult. Your systems don't flow as well. Your momentum doesn't kick in as well. Your coaches don't get excited as much. Everything becomes more difficult if you aim to grow your business slower. The third thing I want to talk about is influence. When it comes to being a leader, you have to have influence. And one of the ways that you have influence is your team knowing that you care about them and your team seeing that you are the example. When you lack influence, it shows in your team. So, I could do a whole training on influence, but definitely influence is one of them. You really want to be able to challenge your team, but of course, as you're challenging them, you have to show that you're doing those things. Next is initiative. You have to show that you take initiative. This business is always changing. So as a leader, you have to take initiative to learn something new about Insta stories, or learn something new about blogging, or learn something new about YouTube training, learn something new about inviting, learn something new. You have to take the initiative to try new things and test new things for them. Because as a leader, think about a leader. The leader's the one going through the woods, like clearing the way for their team, right? They're the ones that take initiative to actually do that. They're the ones that have and this is my next one, courage to go first. You have the courage to go first. So I've done a lot of things in my business where no one had ever done it before. To my knowledge, the first time I did a push to diamond group, I had never heard of it before. Maybe it existed, but this was years and years ago. I had never heard of it before. Groups were a new thing, and I did what was called a push to diamond group. And I didn't know if it would work, and honestly, it didn't go that well. I mean, they all learned more, and and that's still the case with push to diamond groups, by the way. That's not usually what gets my coaches to diamond, is a push to diamond group. It's not. I still host them because it helps, but it's not usually what gets them there, and I will talk about that. But the courage to go first and to try something new, okay? In this business, yes, we duplicate what others are doing, we duplicate concepts, and we make them work for ourselves, but not a whole lot of leaders have the courage to try something new. And it does take that. It does take trying something new. Any business where you're an entrepreneur, you have to try new things, because the business is constantly evolving, and so are we. Next is credibility. Do you have credibility with your team? Because if you don't have credibility, you're going to lose influence. Okay. So credibility, are you practicing what you preach? That kind of goes back to being an example. Next is repetition. When it comes to training your team, I don't know if you've noticed, but we tend to overcomplicate things. There tends to be too many trainings. There tends to be so many different ways of doing each of the vital behaviors. But if you can be really repetitive on the basics, that's really going to serve you and your team and helping them figure this out. If you can be repetitive. So, every month, re-explaining Success Club. Like one thing that I do, because I'm always trying to explain what Success Club is and how to earn it, I put it at the bottom of every single team email. Exactly what Success Club is, how you earn it, any incentives that I have for Success Club is at the bottom of every single team email, and they get a team email once or twice a week. So very repetitive. I do a new coach mentorship every single month, and all my coaches know it's also known as Coach Restart. So very, very repetitive in that I'm constantly giving people that same basic information in case they're restarting or in case they missed it somewhere. I remember when I was newer in my business and I would train on something, and then, like a week later, I'd have one of my coaches ask me how to do that same exact thing. And I was like, I just trained on that exact thing. Like how am I going to deal with this? And I thought, okay, I need to understand that some of these people, they're not where I am in terms of all in. They're not there yet. Okay. So I need to be really repetitive and patient in putting that information out there because they may not have opened that email. They maybe didn't see that post in the team page. They maybe didn't hear that national wake-up call. And so I realized I need to be extremely repetitive on the basics. And you do too. Next is relational. To be a good leader, you have to have that relationship with your team. And I remember early on in my business when I realized my coaches are my VIP customers. And I'm not saying that they are discount coaches. I'm saying they deserve my time more so than my customers. They are more invested in this than anyone else I'm working with. They're more invested in this than the followers I'm talking to on social media. They're more invested in this than the customers in my challenge groups. So I need to show that matching investment to them. And yes, it does mean that sometimes you have to give them tough love, but it also means that you have to get to know them, get to know their pain points. Hopefully you have some type of system for when a coach comes on board with you that you know where they're coming from and what they're all about. I mean, obviously we all talk to our prospects before they even join. We get to know them, all of that, right? But and I don't know what your guys' system is for that, but when a new coach comes on my team, no matter how long we've been talking on social media, even if it's been for like 3 years, and I feel like I know everything about her, I still have what I call an about me form that I have them fill out. And usually from that, I find out even more about their story and their past and their childhood and what drives them and where they're going and what kind of fire is burning inside and all that kind of good stuff. It's great. And I of course save those. And it's something I can always refer back to when I need to. So I really, and when they send that to me, I of course respond back right away. Well, as soon as possible. And let them know, oh my gosh, this part of your story, and you'll be able to use that, when you're helping people because you can draw on that experience. And I know that was a hard time, but you're going to be able to serve so many people with that experience and how you overcame that. And really, again, building that vision for them and that confidence that what they have in their experiences is so valuable in their business and is what makes their business and their brand unique. But you have to fill them with that. And that is, of course, relational as well, because then they understand that you connect with where they are. Next is ego removal. So, you know, when you're working this business, there are times where, you know, sometimes your team will not agree with you, or like I said, they'll go off and do their own thing. And that's why this business helps you grow as a person, because you really have to learn to check your ego and not respond to things immediately, especially when it upsets you. Sleep on it, okay? Talk it through with your significant other. Talk it through maybe, you know, with Christy. Talk it through, think it through before you respond so that you can take the high road. I've seen too often, and I'm guilty of this too. Believe me, with all this whole list I'm going through, I am not perfect by any means. But when it comes to dealing with your team, again, it goes back to that relational thing. I mean, you really have to check your ego and make sure that you're not trying to just be right, and that you're really understanding their point of view and not reacting. Accountability. You have to give your team accountability. If you want coaches to, you know, a lot of times coaches will say to me, well, they start off excited and they're excited in their first month or through their new coach mentorship, but then they just kind of die off. Or they make Emerald, but then they just kind of die off. And this is one area where I am still myself trying to figure out, how do I bridge that gap? Because, you know, I get coaches excited, not all of them, of course, it's, you know, somewhere in that 10 to 20% that really start running with it, right? And then there's this gap in between, like when they make Emerald and when they're done, gray area, and maybe you sense it too. And so I'm constantly trying to think of new ways to help them through that gray area. And so what I've been doing recently, and this goes into my next one, is a system of accountability to help them get through that first part. So the last one I talked about was accountability, but it goes into this next one, which is systems. So it kind of combines the two. So I have a new coach mentorship where they have to check in daily. Okay, so that's accountability, that they're starting their business off right, but it's also a system that I have, okay? And at the end of my new coach mentorship group, at the very end of it, they get like a couple days off, and just to get excited for the next thing within that same group, which is a rapid fire to Emerald group. So right away, those same coaches that were in that new coach mentorship group are now going to be a part of the next project, which is going Emerald. Okay, and so that is like a 3-day thing that I do with them, and it's nothing special, you guys. And I change it, like practically every month I do it. I change it a little bit, trying to figure out what's the best way, because a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't go Emerald. Not enough. You know, I'm still trying to figure out how to improve it. But rapid fire to Emerald, and then at the end of the rapid fire to Emerald, or before the rapid fire to Emerald, I make sure that they know if they go Emerald and make Success Club in that month, they get to be in the next group. So there's always got to be something next. You always got to get your coaches excited for what's next. And so what's next is the Diamond and Beyond group, or Push to Diamond, whatever you want to call it. But they only get to be in that next group if they make Emerald and Success Club in that current month. Okay, so they're always pushing for something next. They're always aiming for and working towards something next. And then after so like I have my Push to Emerald group, Rapid Fire to Emerald group just ended, and my Diamond and Beyond group is about to start. And they know that if they go Diamond in that Diamond and Beyond group, they get to be in my next group, which is my leadership group. And that's going to help me help them develop their leadership skills more. Because when they become a Diamond, they're not always a leader. Not always. And we all have to improve on our leadership skills. But that's having like a system which also builds in accountability, just like we need it for our fitness, helps huge to keep them on track. Because you guys know this business is just too easy to just not do. It's too easy to not do. Also, next is challenging them with their best interests in mind. Okay, so putting challenges out to your team. Of course, we've done like team cups and stuff like that, but you could also do challenges within your team that has nothing to do with what corporate's doing. Now, there are some of your coaches that are very competitive and they're very motivated by this, and they don't even care what it is that they win. They just want to win. And then you'll have other coaches where they really shy away from challenges, but maybe they do want that t-shirt. They're all about the free stuff. You know, everyone is motivated by different things, but doing inner team challenges with their best interest in mind, of course, is very, very key. Now, I try to do challenges that help them build their team. Because I know, again, I'm not trying to just make them a top performer. I'm trying to help them become six-figure earners. So I think that's key too, and I think that's something a lot of people miss is they put challenges out there, and honestly, I think sometimes corporate does that too, where challenges might help someone become a top performer, but not necessarily a leader that's going to be in this business 5 years from now and has six-figure earners beneath them. That's the coolest thing ever, because you're giving those women or men the ability to make some really cool choices in their life. Next is identify who is that next up-and-coming leader that you're going to work with. Like I said, the Push to Diamond group or Diamond and Beyond group, for me anyway, maybe I just haven't figured it out yet, but those groups, and I do them quarterly, they usually don't produce many diamonds. And I, by the way, I didn't mention this yet, but when I do my new coach mentorship group and my diamond group, it's not only for my coaches, but it's for their coaches and their coaches as well. So go deep in your organization, okay? Help them build their teams in the beginning, right? They eventually they're going to pick it up too, but in the beginning, help them, grow their teams, right? So when I do those Push to Diamond groups, I might have one or two that actually go diamond in the group. And sometimes it's one of my personally sponsored. Sometimes it's two people that aren't even one of my personally sponsored, which is great if anyone does, right? But I'm just saying the majority, even though they're close, don't, but they get closer. They get closer, and that's why I do it. Also, it keeps them engaged. Some of those people, if they didn't have that group, might have fallen off track completely because there was nothing to be working towards and nothing to get them excited. Now they're excited. Even if they finish that Diamond and Beyond group and they're not Diamond yet, they're excited because they're like, oh my gosh, I'm like 3 people away from Diamond right now. Or I'm like 1 emerald away from Diamond right now. So it gets them excited. So from there, and this was the next point I was mentioning, was who's that next up-and-coming leader? Who can you work with one-on-one? Because that is what has helped me develop people to diamond. Usually, more often than not, probably 90% of the time, the people on my team that are diamonds, we started texting back and forth and messaging back and forth like crazy. It was like, okay, girl, you are this close. Are you going to try and make it happen by next week? And half the time they're like, oh, I don't know. You think I can make it happen by next week? Yes. You've got 3 people. Only 3 people in your diamond. That can happen by next week. You've got to plant that seed, you guys. You got to tell them what's possible. One example is my mom. My mom had I don't know, she had just a couple discount coaches. And I'm like, Mom, it's time for you to go diamond. She's like, me? She'd never even think that she could possibly go diamond. By the way, my mom's now 70 and she's qualified 1-star. But anyway, I was like, yeah. So we sat down, and this is years ago, but we sat down and we made a list of everyone she knows. And my mom is an outgoing person, unlike me. She's more like Shalene. And made a list of everyone she knows, and I helped her make that list. And I was like, well, what about her? And what about so-and-so? What blah, 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 blah. And so sure enough, Mom built to diamond. And I think it was 1 week from the time that we said, Mom, you need to go diamond. Let's make this happen. If my mom can do it, who doesn't even get on social media, any of your friggin' team members can do it if they want to do it. You get them excited about going diamond and beyond. You can plant that seed and excitement within them and help them get there. But figure out who is that, maybe it's 1 or 2 people. Who are the next up-and-coming people to work with one-on-one? And you can make it happen okay, I'm going to make it happen with this person over the course of these couple of weeks. We're going to aim for 1 week, and then we're going to extend it another week, but we're going to have that goal. And then this person, map it out on your calendar if you need to. I think that's it. Did I get through all 12? I'm not sure if that was 11 or 12. But I wanted to just end with, you know, when it comes to developing leaders, obviously you have to be that person that has influence and credibility, and you're giving them accountability. But realize that you're not always going to get it right. I certainly don't. So don't get down on yourself. Don't overthink things. Keep it simple. Keep it repetitive. Keep it simple. You know, when we talk about accountability, like I said, it could be just you saying, hey, text me every day. You know, let's be success partners for the next, 2 weeks. Text me. You know, you don't have to overcomplicate any of these things that I just mentioned. Keep it simple. And at the same time, as you're trying to develop leaders within your team, keep expanding your team. Keep adding to your team, because you may not have people on your team right now that are really going to run with this. You have to continue to be adding to your team every single month, more than just 1 or 2 people. What I always tell my team is you've got to be adding to your team at least 4 coaches per month. Any questions?
Any questions? No questions? No? You're sure?
Anyone? Sorry, I went so long.
Oh my goodness, no. I have like multiple pages of notes. I'm so excited. I already have my like game plan of what I'm going to implement. That was
awesome.
You guys sure you don't have any questions? I'm going to message you after, Jenelle, because I want to get your address and send you a little something. Thank you.
Oh, you don't have to do that. This is my pleasure, seriously.
No, we appreciate it so much. I love, they know, but we always love learning from you. I love how you take something and you just break it down and make it so digestible and simple. And it's like, yeah. And there's just little things that we all can tweak. Yeah. So we're going to chat after this to just go through our takeaways and see how we're going to move forward. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Let me know if you have any questions. Have so much fun.
So much fun with Shailene. Hope you guys have a great time together.
Yes, we will. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.